Okay, so I thought I'd do a review of my cake-powered cake factory. This is what I use to keep the blaze burners running, and I really like it, but you'll notice that there is something annoying going on. We've got a plague doctor. Now, the obvious solution is obvious. However, I've decided to give myself a little restriction in this world. And to the maximum extent possible, I'm not going to kill any passive animals or even these annoying things. But just because you can't kill them, you can't have them just hanging around. So that's where the blink spell from Ars Magica comes from. This will warp them someplace else. Hello. Go be annoying somewhere else. And I think there was a rat around here. You too. Okay. Nice and silent. And so what I've decided to do is that if they keep showing up, I used to just keep them in this room here, which was bigger. But then I decided that what they need to do is go to school. And this would have been so cool if it had worked properly. But here are all the plague doctors that have come by to bother me in the past. And this is a little schoolhouse. And of course, it's conveniently located. Now, the one downside of this is that these guys will use their invisibility spell if they're in hell. Which, I mean, I suppose it's reasonable. It's hell and all that, but... Anyway, this is where you go to learn to be less annoying. Less of that, please. Okay. So let's discuss the cake-powered cake factory. So these can operate with coal, and they'll get into yellow. And it's a little bit annoying because it will always accept another item, particularly if it's coal. But these mechanical arms, in addition to looking cool, actually are smart enough to detect the level here, so they won't overstuff. And I believe it will never overstuff cake. In any event, the recipe for cake is one of these blaze cake bases and 1/4 bucket of lava. Goes through a filling spout. That's what we've got right here. And this is the press that makes the cake base. Now the cake base takes 3 ingredients, which is cinder flour, sugar, and eggs. Cinder flour is netherrack in this crushing system. Sugar you can also make from a single sugar cane in the crushing system. So that's what I have the recipe set up as. And this interface will craft it and keep 4 in stock. This interface imports eggs, but right now it's limited to 450. The eggs are the only, well, the eggs come from a chicken farm, and the sugarcane comes from just a botany pot, which just by far the easiest way to do it, a little overpowered. This will limit it so that I don't run out of eggs, and with the number of chickens I have, it won't overproduce. It won't, so I won't end up with an infinite number of eggs. Not that that's the end of the world. So where do you get the lava? Well, there is a recipe for making lava if it is supercharged. And so this outputs endless cobblestone, and this imports lava. And right now you can see it's backstuffed a little bit on lava. I have 110 buckets in a tank, and there's also this ender tank so I can get it conveniently in other places. So that takes care of every time an new egg goes over 150, we get more. And we can go ahead and crank this up as if I had more, or had more chickens. This will quickly make enough blaze cakes until this is on strict round robin, so it will wait for this one to need a cake before it distributes some more cakes. And in this case, you can see it's backstuffed into the bucket here that gets smushed. This is just whatever the contents of the bucket are in. This is what it's trying to move right now. Right now this is blank, so it's got all the ingredients. As soon as there's free space on the belt, this will smush it and will make another cake, which will happen as soon as this one runs out of its blue level of energy. And this, keeping this stocked and keeping the recipes in there, this is done with applied energistics. The formula is actually a little complicated. Pretty much everything gets big with applied energistics. But the essential way that this works is each of these is a list that contains one of the states that this can be in. So it can be empty, can have just an egg, or can have just an egg and sugar. And this determines if it's in one of those states. These are conditionals. So in this case, if you check to add cinder, if it's in this state, this is true, this state, this is true, and this state, add egg to it. And these are the items that this can evaluate to. And this is the actual choice that goes into it. And this will be evaluated to whatever the next item that's needed. Or in this case, null, because it's full. And that's also on this little exporter, and you need another side for this, so that's the inventory reader that determines if it is needed. And if I want to stop using eggs, I can shut it off here. If I want to stop the production of the flours, the sugar and cinder flour, I can shut that one off there. So eggs are renewable and infinite. Sugar's renewable and infinite. Every blue cake that goes in here, this can make up to a bucket plus 250. And 250 millibuckets is what a cake is required. So for every cake, we get 5 cakes of lava. And that just accumulates until it backstuffs. So, okay, this is renewable, but it still needs cobblestone for lava, and technically it needs netherrack. So, this is the most useless farm. This is also lava powered. This is just a magmatic dynamo that gets from the same pool of lava. And here we make cobble. And we make cobble if somehow I go below 64 cobble. And here, this will make netherrack. It takes 250 millibuckets of water and 200 millibuckets of lava, but you can make infinite netherrack with this. And that's actually done with this recipe right here. So it can craft netherrack if it's out of netherrack. which is unlikely, but we can simulate that. So this is all my cobblestone and netherrack. So it just dropped down to 0, and this gets triggered and it starts producing cobblestone. And it looks like there was some still in the system from testing it before. But this will continue to produce cakes, even though I've run out of the basic ingredients. There's one other thing that I kind of folded into this. This is obviously the crushing factory, and that part is pretty straightforward, but in the back, this belt also, it just powers this one, but it also, when I need to make polished quartz, or polished rose quartz, this gets filled with infinite sandpaper, and this will pick up the rose quartz. Let's just go ahead and make one. And you know what would help when you do that is if you didn't cut off about 80% of your storage system. This also is one other part. I'm making rose quartz with these crafters, which is much slower and obviously the worst way to do it, but I think it looks cool, and of course 90% of this is you're only doing it because it looks cool. And this deployer will actually go pretty far, so this anywhere in this whole block it will apply the sandpaper effect. And that's the second video.